How did you get by with little money and 8 kids?
How did I get by? I had a very, very conservative wife. We talk about the three of us sitting here drinking a whole can of orange juice for breakfast. We used to serve a can of orange juice for 10 people.
What other things do you remember for spreading stuff around?
And she always had when we decided what she was gonna have for supper, she always limited us to like $3 or something for meat at that time, for a meal.
Did you ever barter for food out of your store?
I don't think so, no.
I remember in the apartment a half a pig or something being carried up into the laundry room and you butchered it. Did you do that often?
Well, probably once a year. Sometimes we had them cut up at the butcher shop over there too, across the street.
What was the name of that shop?
I don't know, but I can picture in my mind the people that looked at it very plain. Castaigne.
Joe?
He was the butcher.
They had some pretty good sausage.
Yeah, he did that.
Did you have a budget?
Not really, but yes, too, It was kind of left up to Marguerite on a budget for food.
Do you consider yourself old?
Now I do. I didn't a couple of years ago when I was still feeling halfway decent. When I couldn't do it anymore, I just said to hell with it. And my faith brought in a buyer for the store at about the same time, and I thought, well, better do it.
How old were you when you retired?
76.
So you've been retired 5 years? A few minutes ago you mentioned your cancer and your faith. Tell me that story about your cancer.
Well, we were out building a new house at the time on the hill south of Red Lodge, and all once I had to go to the bathroom and it was all blood. I just started bleeding internally, and I thought, well, it'll quit, it's alright, And I got back into town and was all still having the kind of the diarrhea, only it was all blood, and all once I got so weak I couldn't stand up. Marguerite called Bob Rogers, and who was a snowmobile friend of ours, and he came over with the ambulance and took me to Billings. I laid in the hospital in Billings before surgery and after surgery for 28 days. I was in the hospital.
What were you diagnosed with?
Colon cancer. They cut out all my guts and rerouted them and brought them out. We caught it, and that was the first episode, so we caught it in time. And I didn't have to take chemotherapy or anything. They took it all out with the knife. Sent it in to pathologist someplace to be diagnosed. And he diagnosed that they got it all, so but we wouldn't know for 5 years, They give you an exam at 5 years, and they termed it cancer-free.
How has that inconvenienced you?
Well, it really hasn't. I thought it would, but it really hasn't. You just have to spend a couple hours every 3 or 4 nights in the bathroom. You have to spend a couple hours irrigating.
How did you feel about that diagnosis?
Well, you asked me earlier if there was ever a time when I was against my faith. That was the one time I probably was more than anything, because I said, you sit around and think of life, why me? Why me, But the Lord answered my prayers, or God answered my prayers, and we're still here. My kids are all grown up. Now I'm watching my grandkids grow up. What more could I ask for?
Did you ever complain about it?
No, I've never complained about it.
How would you tell somebody else to accept that?
How would I tell them? Just look at me. I've survived. I'm a 37 or 38 years cancer survivor now, so it can happen.
So that was probably the most significant health event in your life.
Right.
What's happening now?
Oh, I'm just losing my balance, and I was blaming these pills I'm taking for making me dizzy. And I went to the doctor for a checkup and was complaining one day to him, and he says, Well, I'd like to challenge you on some of your thoughts. He says, I think I got a fancy name for this balance condition, you know. And Marguerite knew right away what it was. And Marguerite gets pamphlets from Rochester once a month. She says, I think we'll go home and lay you crossways on the bed and let you hang your head over the bed, you know, and that'll cure part of it. And the doctor had already told us that he recommended therapy, and I'm taking therapy up at the hospital now, twice a week. But I got this week off.
So have they diagnosed you with anything specific that you know the name of?
No, yeah. As far as being dizzy is concerned, they have, what do they call that? But anyway, the first time I laid over the bed, crossways, and hung my head over the bed, I noticed a difference in my dizziness. It was lessened up with the first time I did it, you know, and then the second time I got dizzy, I went and did it again. Only I did it a little longer, and I haven't had any problems since. And the therapist tells me, don't do that, don't do that, but well, I'll always do it. But when you get into therapy, you think the therapy things are so dumb and easy that they can't help, but they are helping a little bit. Not like I'd like them, but I guess I expected miracles. That don't happen.
Have you ever seen a miracle?
No, not what I'd call a miracle anyway.
What do you call a miracle?
Well, that would have to be something that it would be a miracle to kill these tremors now, you know. That's kind of what part of that therapy is all about too, is for that, but that's not, they know it's not going to cure it.
Is it Parkinson's?
Yes.
So you've been diagnosed with Parkinson's?
Once. And then I went to a Parkinson's specialist, and he said, it's kind of strange. He says, you haven't got full-fledged Parkinson's. Not what he called full-fledged Parkinson's anyway. Difficult to explain why he said that. But I know that these treatments, therapy treatments, are helping me lift my feet up better now too. When you get dizzy, you know, you tend to not want to pick your feet up off the floor.
Shuffle.
That's me anyway. Since we got rid of the dizzy spells, it's done more than anything.